Every year, Mosquito helicopter owners from around the world gather in Trenton, Florida for the Composite FX factory fly-in. Along the way, I toured the Composite FX factory, I met some cool builders and owners, and saw some pretty interesting aircraft stop in throughout the weekend. If you've ever wondered what makes these Mosquito helicopters different from one another, or what their true capabilities are, this video is for you. My name's Callie, I'm the okayest engineer, let's get into it. Despite their small size, these are fully capable helicopters. Depending on the model and operating conditions, they can cruise around 80 miles an hour, have up to 3.5 hours of range, and have a service ceiling of about 10,000 feet. Every year, owners gather at the Composite FX fly-in to share stories, compare their aircraft, and spend the weekend flying. A few years ago, Composite FX purchased this airstrip, giving them a permanent location for flight testing, training, demonstrations, and events like this one. It's a pretty unique setup and provides a perfect backdrop for gatherings like this. One of the highlights of this trip was getting a behind-the-scene look inside the Composite FX factory. As someone building an XE290 myself in my basement, it was really cool to see where these parts are manufactured. Walking through the facility, you get a better appreciation for everything that goes into producing these kits, from composite manufacturing and assembly work to packaging and shipping. It's one thing to receive a crate full of parts, it's another thing entirely to see the process that created them. The questions I get most about this helicopter is, what are the differences between each model? What are their actual capabilities? And how much does it cost to build these things? Since I was at the factory fly-in and all the models were present in one spot, I figured this was a perfect opportunity to break each one of them down. It's important to note that every one of the models is built off the exact same airframe, controls, and blades. The only real difference between each one of them is their performance and the class that they're built under. Before we break down the different models, it's probably best to talk about where the Mosquito actually came from. The original design was the Mosquito Air, and it was a lightweight, open cockpit helicopter developed by John Updegrove. The goal was simple, to create an extremely lightweight, simple, affordable helicopter that an individual could realistically own and operate. The name Mosquito was actually coined by John Updegrove's wife when she described the sound of the helicopter being that of a mosquito. Later, Dwight Junkin took that original concept and incorporated it into a composite-bodied aircraft, creating what essentially became the Composite FX Mosquito XE series helicopter. That evolution transformed the aircraft from a minimalistic, open-frame design into the enclosed composite helicopter most people recognize today. And from there, the lineup continued to evolve into several different versions depending on the performance goals and the FFA regulation requirements. Although all the pricing and performance data is accurate as of the posting of this video, it's always a good idea to go visit the manufacturer's website, compositefx.com, for the most recent and up-to-date pricing and performance data. We'll start with the XEL because it's probably the most unique helicopter in the lineup. Starting at just $58,000, the XEL was specifically designed to qualify under the FAA Part 103 ultralight regulations. But that comes with some major restrictions. Under Part 103, the aircraft must meet strict weight and fuel limitations, it cannot carry passengers, and can only be operated in specific conditions without requiring a pilot's license. To make that possible, the XEL's main fuel tank is limited to just 5 gallons, and it's outfitted with external flotation devices mounted to the landing gear. Now, despite how they look, these floats were not primarily intended for water operation. They were largely added to help the aircraft comply with the ultralight weight regulations by increasing the allowable empty weight classification under Part 103 exemptions. While the floats are technically functional, Composite FX does not recommend actually operating the aircraft from the water. Power comes from the MZ202 engine, which is a carbureted, air-cooled, 2-cylinder, 2-stroke engine. The XEL has a 312-pound empty weight, a 612-pound maximum gross weight, approximately 45 minutes of flight time, a cruise speed of around 62 miles an hour, and an estimated climb rate of roughly 900 feet per minute. The ultralight restrictions mean the XEL sacrifices range and speed compared to the larger models, but it occupies a very interesting niche in the helicopter world. Getting rid of those floats and the drag that goes with them, the cruise speed of the XE increases to about 75 miles an hour, and with the added fuel capacity, you can get around 2 hours of flight time out of a single tank. At $57,000, for many pilots, the XE becomes the sweet spot between simplicity, affordability, and real-world capability. And even today, these helicopters still make up a large portion of the Mosquito fleet. Coming in at $67,000, the next one in the lineup is the XE290. Instead of the smaller MZ202 engine, the XE290 comes with an Intech 800 2-cylinder, 2-stroke, fuel-injected, oil-injected 800cc engine. The additional power dramatically changes the performance of this aircraft, and this model is considered the workhorse of the lineup. Compared to the earlier XE models, the XE290 gains higher cruise speeds, better climb performance, increased payload capacity, higher hover ceilings, and improved overall performance margins. The aircraft cruises around 80 miles per hour with top speeds well over 100. Climb rates increase to roughly 1,200 feet per minute, and hovering ceilings improve to approximately 10,000 feet in ground effect and 8,000 feet out of ground effect. With the fuel consumption of about 6 gallons per hour, you can get a total endurance of almost 3.5 hours. And finally, we get to the XET. This one comes in at $74,000, but of the four, this one does not include the engine. An engine will set you back another $25,000. The jet engine is a T-62 T2A, which typically is the APU out of a Chinook helicopter. Without question, the XET is the coolest helicopter in the lineup. The turbine just takes it to another level. The sound alone is incredible. Beyond just the sound, turbine power delivery is exceptionally smooth and gives the aircraft a completely different feel in flight. The XET represents the highest performance version of the Mosquito lineup and has become one of the most recognizable helicopters Composite FX has ever produced. Now, although that turbine sounds phenomenal, it does come with its drawbacks. The XE290 and the XET basically have the exact same performance. They produce the same amount of horsepower, and the overall characteristics of the helicopter are exactly the same. The downside with that turbine, though, is it burns about 11 gallons of fuel per hour, where its piston counterpart burns about 6. So you reduce that 3.5 hour flight time down to just under 2. So is that extra $30,000 price tag worth it? Well, I guess you're just going to have to decide for yourself. While the Mosquito helicopters were obviously the main attraction, they weren't the only aircrafts making an appearance this weekend. One of my favorite parts of any fly-in is that you never really know what's going to show up next. Over the course of the event, we saw everything from a Piper PA-28 to an aerobatic biplane, a Gazelle helicopter stopped in, along with an MD Notar helicopter, and even a Dolphin. For me, the best part of the weekend wasn't just seeing the helicopters, it was meeting the people behind them. Many of the owners and builders attending this event have already completed the journey that I'm still working through in my basement shop. Getting the opportunity to see their finished aircraft, hear their stories, and learn from their experiences was incredibly valuable. There's also something motivating about watching dozens of completed helicopters flying around and realizing that the pile of parts you're currently working on really can become a flying aircraft. Eventually, hopefully, assuming I don't screw something up. If you have any questions about the Mosquito or Composite FX, your number one resource is going to be their website, composite-fx.com. All of their contact information is there, and they would be happy to hear from you. Tell them Callie sent you. Also, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel where you can see me build this helicopter where it will hopefully be flying in the next handful of months. We will also be making it to Oshkosh in 2027. As always, go build something cool, never stop learning, and we'll see you on the next one.